Good day to everyone who is listening to our presentation. Today we will be exploring the world of regions. This is a critical analysis. Our group members are Chanito Kawukong, Carl Angelo Deraya, Charlene Lebalde, Jason Omadyaw, and Sean Christopher Morales. And I'm here to discuss the global divides. When we say global divides, it refers to the inequalities or gaps between different countries or regions across the world. It is divided into two categories, which are global north and global south. When we say global north, they are the ones who are wealthier and called developed countries with high living standards, such as United States, Europe, Japan, and Australia. While the global south is called developing countries, such as the Philippines, Vietnam, and Bangladesh, that faces challenges like poverty, slower economic growth, and limited access to education. We are going to talk about the economic, political, and social disparities between developed countries and developing countries. So let's go to economic disparity. As for wealth and GDP, developed countries such as United States, Germany, and Europe, they are characterized by high per capita income with high living standards. As for developing countries, they have lower GDP per capita with economies still reliant on agriculture, resource extraction, and low-wage industries. Poverty is widespread despite growing economies. While in industrialization and technology, developed countries are highly industrialized, leading in technology, manufacturing, and services with strong sectors in tech, pharmaceuticals, and finance, while the developing countries are transitioning from agriculture-based economies to industrialization. Countries like Vietnam face challenges in diversifying beyond low-cost manufacturing, lacking advanced technological infrastructure. And for access to capital and investment, developed countries have access to abundant capital, allowing them to invest in infrastructure, innovation, and welfare programs. These nations have well-established financial markets and lower borrowing costs. Developing countries often struggle to attract foreign investment and secure affordable loans. They rely on institutions like the IMF and World Bank, which can impose strict conditions and face issues like corruption and weak governance. And for trade and global market access, developed countries dominate in the global trade system and are the hubs for multinational corporations, often determining the flow of goods, services, and capital around the world. Developing countries often face trade barriers, both internal and external. Countries like Vietnam and the Philippines are heavily reliant on export of raw materials or low-cost manufactured goods. It exposes them to fluctuations in commodity prices and limits their ability to achieve long-term economic growth in their economies. Next is political disparity. When it comes to governance and political systems, developed countries typically characterized by stable democratic system, well-established rules of law, and high levels of political participation. Developing countries in the global south face challenges such as political instability, corruption, and authoritarianism. They often experience political unrest, dominance of political elites, leading to weak institutions and governance systems. As for the global power and influence, developed countries gave considerable global influence through their participation in internal organizations such as the United Nations, World Bank, IMF, and NATO. Their political and economic systems shape global norms and decisions. Developing countries have less political influence on the world stage. They are often relegated to the role of recipients of foreign aid or external interventions, especially in the context of trade agreements or international diplomacy. Lastly, in political instability and conflict, developed countries typically experience political instability and a low likelihood of internal conflicts. Any political unrest tends to be short-lived and handled within well-established frameworks. As for the developing countries, especially those in the global south like Syria, Philippines, and Vietnam, they often suffer from internal conflicts. Political instability is more common, and governance can be fragile with limited state capacity to enforce laws or provide basic services. Next is social disparity. Education and literacy. Developed countries generally offer high-quality education systems with universal access, leading to higher literacy rates and better opportunities for higher education. Education is often state-funded and emphasizes skills that align with global economies like technology, innovation, and leadership. The developing countries, particularly those in the global south, such as Vietnam and Nigeria, they face significant education disparities. While these nations have made strides in improving education access, they still struggle with the issues like poor infrastructure, lack of qualified teachers, and regional inequalities in educational resources. In countries like Nigeria, millions of children are still out of school, and literacy rates remain low in rural areas. And as for healthcare system, developed countries have advanced healthcare systems providing high quality, universal healthcare that ensures long life expectancy, low infant mortality, and access to modern medical technologies. And as for developing countries, they often struggle with providing basic healthcare services. The quality of healthcare is uneven, especially in rural or underserved areas. Issues like poor sanitation, infectious diseases, and high child mortality rates remain persistent challenges in many global south countries. Healthcare access is often limited, and these nations may have a shortage of medical professionals or essential medicines. And when it comes to social inequality, developed countries often experience income inequality and racial or social divisions, but many have social safety nets in place, such as unemployment benefits, welfare systems, and healthcare benefits to help address these disparities. In developing countries, the levels of inequality are typically more extreme. They often have vast disparities between urban and rural areas, where urban centers have access to better education, healthcare, and employment, while rural areas are left behind. Additionally, such as gender inequality, ethnic discrimination, and child labor remain widespread. And lastly, when it comes to quality of life, developed nations enjoy a high standard of living with reliable access to basic services like clean water, sanitation, and safe housing. There is generally a high degree of social mobility and opportunities for individuals to improve their lives through education and employment. As for developing nations, particularly those in the global south, they struggle with poverty, lack of clean water, and basic housing. Millions of people live in slums with inadequate access to sanitation, clean drinking water, and electricity. The quality of life for the majority of the population in these nations remain low compared to the developed countries. So let's proceed to historical and contemporary causes of global divides. Colonialism. When European powers conquered and exploited regions in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, it played a key role in creating global divides. Colonial powers extracted resources for their own benefit, leaving many countries in the global south with limited economic infrastructure and reliance on raw material exports, making development difficult. The imposition of foreign political systems disrupted local governance, leading to political instability and enduring social divisions. Additionally, colonial rule established unequal social structures based on race and class, perpetuating inequality long after independence. These legacies continue to shape the economic and social challenges faced by many former colonies today. As for the globalization, it refers to the growing interconnectedness of the world through trade, technology, capital, and ideas. While globalization has led to economic growth and opportunities in some regions, it has also widened the gap between the global north and global south. Globalization has contributed to growing economic inequality by disproportionately benefiting developed countries with advanced economies and technology, while developing countries struggling to keep up. In the global south, labor exploitation is common, with many countries becoming hubs for low-wage manufacturing, resulting in poor working conditions and widening wage gaps. Additionally, the technological gaps l- limits access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities in these regions, further deepening disparities. Trade imbalances also persist, as nations export high-value goods while developing countries remain reliant on raw material exports, stalling their economic growth and reinforcing global inequalities. Lastly, systemic inequality refers to the deep-rooted social, political, and economic factors that sustain disparities between regions and populations, including both historical issues like colonialism and modern structural challenges. In many countries, especially in the global north, wealth and power are concentrated in the hands of a small elite, limiting opportunities for the broader population and maintaining inequality. Developing nations often face the heavy debt burdens exacerbated by loans from institutions like the World Bank and IMF, which impose austerity measures that hinder investments in public services. Structural adjustment programs and global trade systems also perpetuate inequality, with policies that prioritize the interests of wealthy countries, restrict economic diversification in the global south, and deepen poverty and social divisions. Impacts of these divides on international relations, trade, and development. In international relations, political power disparities give developed nations significant influence over global policies, often marginalizing developing countries in forums like the UN and WTO. This creates tensions as the interests of powerful nations dominate decision-making. Economic divides also shape geopolitical alignments, with wealthier countries exerting soft power, while poor nations may turn to emerging powers like China or Russia for economic partnership and development opportunities. While in global trade, wealthier nations dominate by setting terms that favor their industries, often leaving developing countries reliant on exporting raw materials or low-value goods, which hinders their economic growth. Additionally, trade barriers such as tariffs, subsidies, and restrictive practices in richer countries further disadvantage poorer nations, limiting their access to global markets and perpetuating economic inequality. In terms of development, the technological divide leaves developing countries without access to advanced industries, hindering their ability to industrialize and modernize, which worsens poverty. While richer nations provide aid, it often comes with conditions that may not align with the priorities of the receiving countries. High levels of debt in developing nations also limit their capacity to invest in vital areas like infrastructure, education, and healthcare, perpetuating the cycle of poverty and slowing overall development. To bridge global divides and promote equitable development, key solutions include reforming global trade practices to ensure fairer terms for developing countries, reducing tariffs, and supporting value-added industries. Debt relief and financial reforms are crucial for alleviating the burden on developing nations, enabling investment in infrastructure, education, and healthcare. Additionally, facilitating technology transfer and improving access to innovation can help close the technological gap. Inclusive development policies should focus on reducing income disparities, empowering marginalized communities, and improving education and skills development. Furthermore, strengthening international partnerships that emphasize mutual benefits and cooperation is essential for tackling global challenges like poverty and climate change. Supporting local governance and empowering communities to make decisions is also vital for sustainable development. Together, these approaches can help create a more equitable global systems, fostering growth and reducing disparities between nations. So let's proceed to the second topic. The Global South refers to the countries in Africa, Latin America, and Asia, and parts of Oceania that have historically been marginalized in global geopolitics and economics. These nations tend to have lower income levels, less industrialization, and are often dependent on agriculture or raw material exports. The concept emerged during the Cold War to distinguish the non-aligned or post-colonial states from the developed nations of the global north. In global geopolitics, the Global South faces challenges such as economic dependency, political instability, and limited influence in international decision making. However, emerging powers like China, India, and Brazil are reshaping global dynamics, advocating for reforms to better represent the interests of the global south in global institutions. Countries in the Global South face significant challenges, including widespread poverty, intensified by limited access to education, healthcare, and infrastructure, which hinders development and economic growth. They are also disproportionately impacted by climate change, with extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and resource scarcity threatening agriculture and causing displacement. Additionally, many nations in the Global South experience political instability, often due to colonial legacies, corruption, and ethnic conflicts, which undermines governance and development. Despite these challenges, countries in the Global South contribute greatly to the global economy, culture, and politics, with emerging powers like India, Brazil, and South Africa advocating for a more inclusive global system and playing key roles in shaping international relations. In conclusion, while the Global South faces numerous obstacles, its contributions are vital to global progress, and addressing these challenges can lead to more equitable growth and cooperation worldwide. International organizations like the United Nations and the World Bank play significant roles in addressing issues faced by the Global South, such as poverty, development, and conflict resolution. The UN provides financial aid, technical assistance, and promotes peace through its specialized agencies, although its effectiveness is often limited by power dynamics within the Security Council. The World Bank offers loans and expertise for infrastructure and poverty reduction projects, but its policies, particularly the conditions tied to loans, can intensify inequality and debt burdens, undermining its impact. Overall, while both organizations contribute to global development, their effectiveness could be improved by prioritizing more inclusive decision making and aligning their strategies with the specific needs of the global south. Successful case studies and initiatives led by Global South nations. First is India's Green Revolution. The Green Revolution in India, which began in the 1960s, is often cited as a transformative example of agricultural innovation in the Global South. Through the introduction of high-yielding varieties of crops, modern irrigation techniques, and chemical fertilizers, India became self-sufficient in food production, moving from a state of food scarcity to food security. This initiative helped reduce hunger and poverty and boosted India's agricultural economy, though challenges remain regarding environmental sustainability and inequality in rural areas. Second is South Africa's renewable energy independent power producer procurement program. South Africa launched it in 2011 is a groundbreaking initiative to boost the country's renewable energy capacity. Through this program, the government partnered with private companies to develop renewable energy projects, attracting substantial investment in solar, wind, and other renewable sources. This initiative has not only expanded South Africa's clean energy production but also created jobs and spurred economic growth, setting an example for developing nations looking to transition to renewable energy. And lastly, Chile's pension system. It was introduced in 1981, is often seen as a successful model of private pension schemes in the global south. The system requires individuals to contribute to a private fund managed by pension companies. While it has faced criticisms over its inequalities, particularly regarding the lower income population, it has provided a foundation for saving and investment that has influenced pension systems in other Latin American countries.
Asian regionalism. The integration and collaboration in such aspects like the collective interest, advance economic developments, enhance stability and policies, and establish stronger connections, social cultural. Define what can be referred to as Asian regionalism. Generally, this incorporates collaboration involving multidimension with them that's mainly thought not specifically so among social, political, economics, and aspect of security through which that gets implemented frequently as a dimension of official region. The concept of regionalism and its significance in Asia. Regionalism is the cooperation of nations or terrorists within particular region to address different facets of politics, economy, and culture. In the case of Asia, regionalism is very important because of its diversity and size. Due to the diversity of history, cultures, and faiths of the nation in Asia, regional collaboration and organization information are essential to preserve peace, security, and progress. We have two examples of regionalism in Asia. One, Shanghai Cooperation and Organization and Association of Southeast Asia Nation. These groups help nations cooperate to, to improve trade, protect their interests, and address issues such as terrorism, the environment, and regional security. Roles of major Asian economies and fostering regional collaboration. China. One of China's greatest achievements is promoting its trade with the help of programs such as the Belt and Road Initiative. Through the Belt and Road Initiative, China gives Asian countries infrastructure project and increased trade and investment. Japan. Another major donor for Asian countries that require financial support is Japan. It supports health, education, and infrastructure program program in the region, which in turn help to improve the living condition in many regions. Through the Japan International Cooperation Agency or JICA. India. India plays an important role in developing harmony and togetherness in the region. India has a unique approach toward regional cooperation as it is a democratic country that has various cultures and religions. In this context, India is engaged enhancing Asian nation bonding and collaboration to build a safer and richer region. Key regional organizations and their impact on economic, culture, and security cooperation. The South Asia Association for Regional Cooperation or is an association of countries in the Asia region with the objective of outlining cooperation in the aspect of economy, culture, and security. Among the countries included in the list of members of the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation are Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. South Asian Association Regional Cooperation has a significant role in reducing poverty and economic hardship in Asia. The organization has set a goal of removing tariffs and barriers in the region to develop the local economy through South Asian Free Trade Area. The cooperation in infrastructure projects and development program is a result of the economic development the country people. One of the goals of South Asian Association Regional Cooperation is to enhance cultural linkage between the nation promote culture. The organization also supports other initiatives that involve the promotion of exchanging custom, art, and culture. Truth Center like South Asian Association Region Cooperation, Culture Century, this sets all the nation cultures to be merry and progressive. In light of the security concern, South Asian Associate Regional Cooperation is providing a platform for its members to assist in addressing security issues related to terrorism, disasters, and crimes. The effect the people of the country, the organization goal is to raise awareness of the issue that affect the people who are impacted by the region. For instance, the tensions and misunderstanding between member countries along with the conflict between India and Pakistan are akin to effort to improve security cooperation. ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, is a major regional organization consisting of Southeast Asian nations. Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. It was established in 1967. The aim was to strengthen the bond and cooperation of ASEAN, the realms of security, culture, and economy. Due to its facilitation of commerce and investment, ASEAN significantly affect the economies of the member nations. The group promotes more open trade and market integration through the ASEAN. The group reduces trade restrictions such as tariffs and regulation, which provide agreement to boost regional competition and the economies of its members by offering trade agreements that lower obstacles in trade like tariffs and regulation. The group boosts regional competition and the economies of its members. Furthermore, ASEAN promotes respect for the uniqueness and each nation and culture. Exchange. It allows people from different countries to work together and cultural events, share ideas, and learn more about diverse customs. The goal of Asian Social Cultural Community is to create a community that values and respect in another's identities and cultures. One of the very important instruments for addressing regional security issues is the ASEAN Regional Forum. The group enhances cooperation through discussion and policy making to curb conflict, proliferation of weapons, and environmental problems. The body offers a platform for diplomatic dialogue and settlement of regional issues such as conflict and international security. The challenges and opportunities of Asian regionalism in a globalized world. The regionalism of Asia is founded on the cooperation and collaboration of the countries in the region to address economic, political, cultural, and environmental issues. Asia is composed of various religious, cultural, linguistic, and political systems. The diversity of interests can be an obstacle to unity and effective cooperation, and this is the reason for it. One of the world's fastest growing Asia is a Asia country can work together through regionalism to improve interregional commerce and each other's economies.
Hi, this is my presentation about ASEAN integration. The ASEAN approach will strive to strengthening cooperation high along an economic, political, and socio-cultural extend among member states in order to forge a more cohesive and conceptual unified territory of economic growth and development as well as stability in tackling shared challenges and achieving global competitiveness. Prepare to the process through which economic societies and political structures of the member state are harmonized and eventually unified. The ideal scenario is that there would be a borderless region where goods, service, investments, and person move freely across the borders, where member states take common approaches to political security and social challenges, and where people from diverse cultures can engage with each other in mutual respect and understanding. This combination of agreements in the economic sector and cooperation in political and cultural dimension actually make the nation of ASEAN as a regional organization stronger in the global arena. Number 1. ASEAN Political Security Community. Good governance and human rights. Good governance and human rights are foundation stone for stability, equity, and progress in societies. They are mutually reinforcing. Efficient governance implies the protection of human rights, and respect for human rights promote inclusive and accountable governance. The ASEAN Intergovernmental Commission on Human rights is one of the initiatives in Southeast Asia that seek to advance these values. Number 2, ASEAN Economic Community, Sustainable Development. Sustainable development, therefore, is a form of economic growth in which the resources between generations are preserved for the longer term. It ensures the welfare of society and make it equitable among the present and future generations. It deals it deals holistically with the whole package of economic growth with stepwise shift for the environmental and equality in society, balancing what has been otherwise immediate economic need and needs for longer term sustainability in natural ecosystem and human communities. Number 3, ASEAN Sociocultural Community, Environmental Sustainability. Environmental sustainability is the principle that revolves around responsible management of natural resources so that this will be available for the present and future generation. Deforestation, climate change, and pollution all threatening the balance and warrant collective large-scale strategies for countering the impact made by these threats. It is difficult for human beings to understand that these issues are never simplistic, rather they interla- interlate and are often transitional borders, with the demanding of joint regional action for efficient progress. The ASEAN is a regional organization from 10 member countries. It consists of Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. One of the main objectives of the association is to unify all 10 countries and their diversity into a cohesive and cohesive community. Through cooperation in economic, political, security, and socio-cultural domains, therefore, it will bring the opportunities for development and economic growth of the countries but also pose challenges because of differing circumstances and huge variation variation in geography, economic situation, and various other parameters among states. Foreign direct investment growth. When a company or person from one country invests, this process is called foreign direct investment in operation within other country. This investment usually constitute the setting up of facilities, acquiring interest in the in other cooperation, or form partnership with locals by which investment will be made in foreign markets. For ASEAN, PDA, PFDI has been the engine of growth, industrialization, and regional development through which the bloc integrates into a single consolidated market. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, on its on its part, ASEAN has introduced policies to promote economic integration while enhancing security and culture among the 10 member states. Such policies have already yielded gains but still contend with challenges related to equitable and sustainable progress. Cultural exchange. ASEAN therefore promotes cultural exchange as a strategy to develop a regional identity and to encourage understanding among themselves, acknowledging the variation in language, tradition, religions, and histories. ASEAN build bridge through cultural programs, tourism, and education challenges concerning inclusivity, inclu- inclusivity and equal representation of smaller states need to attention to ensure equal benefits for our members. Digital transformation. Notable, the hope that is promised by ASEAN Association of Southeast Asian Nations in confronting challenging of emerging regional as well as global dimension, especially on digital transformation, in, is found in harnessing the collective strength of the member countries, bridging dispar- disparities among them and content flexibility to rapid technological and geopolitical piece of change below our key aspect defining ASEAN's future is the regard. Climate change brings unique and serve challenges to ASEAN because it is multivarious in geographic, economic, and social terms. There are countries that are highly vulnerable climate impact and activities for which there are also depend and contribute to climate change like fossil fuel consumption, deforestation, and vigorous agriculture. In these cases, ASEAN future in meeting such challenging stands on solid ground. As far as the well-rounded approach to cooperation and innovation is sustainable growth is concerned,